And we're recording. So I'm going to come hand the video or the mic over to you. We're doing the simple thing today. Just one mic. We're going to pass it around. So I'm going to let Gary tell you. He's been out flying with one of our ground school members from the Virgin Islands. So just give him a brief description of what you guys have been doing, and then introduce him, bring him up here, and he's going to talk about something he's developed for aircraft that he wants to share with everybody. So we're celebrating the book, Top 10 Check Ride Tips. The link is there. Go grab it for 99 cents. Please leave us some Amazon feedback. That's how we drive that thing up to #1. We want to hit #1 before Taz gets his award Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And today, $50 off. Yearly or unlimited. Private commercial instrument or CFI. Gary made the code TAZ50 off. TAZ 50 OFF. All right, well, why don't you let us know what you've been doing today, Gary, and tell them about your student. I preluded earlier that there's a student over there, and I said, nobody's told me whether he's passed or not. I'm sure he will, but, so, quick cover that first, and then lead into your member that's here right now with us.
Okay, Renee Surprise, who I've worked with for about 21 hours in the R-44 over the past week and a half. He's from Texas. One of our members came here to train and wrap up his rating, and I got news that he passed his check ride. Got news straight from the examiner. He called me and said, good job, he did an excellent job, and he's on his way back. So we'll get him on camera when he walks back in. While he was gone, I got to fly with a member of ours from the Virgin Islands. This is the second time he's come here for a flight review. Last time in the Enstrom, this time in the R-44. So we just got back in from about a 1-hour flight around Plymouth, going through all the procedures to make me comfortable signing them off for the flight review. Interesting story, Kenneth Koch, who I'm talking about, he's developed a product that may prevent a near catastrophe that cost him an Enstrom a number of years ago, and I'll let him talk about that. Kenneth?
Jump in there, man. I'm jumping.
So this is Kenneth Koch.
Thank you.
From the Virgin Islands, and how'd your flight review go today?
Went good. I was a little. It's been a year since I flew with you last time, and it was, you know, your skills are definitely deteriorate if you don't use them. It's a perishable skill, so it was a little rough, but then it smoothed out. Things started to come back a bit more, but it was good. You're patient with me, and I appreciate that. In a very rough beginning. How
would you rate your flight instructor, say on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely awesome?
Oh, well, I mean, 10, of course. There's no question about it.
All right.
I mean, just for the patience alone of letting me wobble us around in a hover for, 6 minutes, that's good.
Well, tell us what happened that made you decide to develop something like this, and then describe what that is after that.
Okay, I will.
When you get ready to describe it, if you want to move up here where they can see it better, you can see exactly what they're seeing.
Gotcha,
on the
okay.
screen up there, if you want to do that.
Yeah, I will. Let me talk, and then I'll... Sweet. Okay, a number of years ago, I bought a Enstrom 280A model, and I had 120 hours, and I wanted something for time building in my own personal helicopter fly. I mean, no reason to get a certificate if you can't fly some. So this had been sitting in a garage for a number of years, and had been using some regular fuel in it, automobile fuel, and so the sump ended up getting over full, which clogged up the little fuel filter in line, and I ended up having 2 cylinders lost. And being an A model, it was a little heavy for it being anyway. It's a great flying ship. I love Enstroms to death. And it just caused 2 cylinders to go, and I had to put it down rather hard, which caused the main gearbox and the tail rotor to snap. And once you have destroyed the attachments for the engine, the transmission, you pretty much, in that model, how much it cost, it was totaled. So that prompted me to think of just something I could come up with, which is just a kind of a fuel strainer. It attaches on the...
Okay. Kenneth, to bring that around to the camera so you can get a close look at it.
It attaches in the inline tank with the little extents here, and you just put it in, and it locks in like this, and then the fuel cap has an air vent and clicks, so it just locks in securely. You can't pull it out. And when I designed this, I wanted to be durable, last for 20 years. This is aircraft aluminum on the bottom, and then just mold plastic with a 30 micron filter on the bottom. See, it's long. I wanted that on purpose. So you could stick your fuel nozzle down in here to go about, you know, here. You could pull full pressure of the gas of the fuel through, and it'll still stop any debris that's in a dirty tank from getting into your sump. Yes, we all have the sumps, and we expect them to do their jobs. But I've always liked to go in the ounce of prevention method, and this would just be something that I thought of would just be an ounce of prevention to keep that from happening. This is my only prototype. I'm working on trying to find somebody who is as interested in this kind of thing as I am, and that's how I came up with it and basically what it does.
So the next step would be to find an investor and get an STC.
Yes, yeah, I do have to do the STC. I just went through the patenting process. I was kind of doing one thing at a time because everything takes time to get done. Nothing just works overnight.
Do you want to tell them how they can get a hold of you, name or email, if they want to talk to you more about development of your product?
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's really simple. Get a hold of me. Send me an email at mkoch112304@yahoo.com. My name's Kenneth Cook, spelled K-O-C-H. You can call my cell phone anytime, 340-227-0211. I am looking for some help in developing further. Like I said, it's patented and it works. I've tested it on a couple different vehicles. It also could be reconfigured to work on heavy equipment.
It works on the R44 cap.
It works on the R44 cap. We tested
tightened it down on there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you forget how to get a hold of Kenneth Cook, Gary at helicopterground.com, and we'll get you his email.
No, that's it. Thank you, Gary.
Very good. Good flying today, and we'll see you
nice
tomorrow
flying.
for a little cross country.
Oh, exactly. Thank you.
We'll, tell them we're gonna roll a Taz video.
Okay.
Everybody wants weather, right? So
All right. So if you're
I got several Taz weather videos, so we'll roll a few of those while we take a little break, and we'll be back. Just
okay. Well, if you didn't catch the beginning of the video, Taz is getting his award for 2018 Flight Instructor of the Year. They're going to give it to him Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Central over at Oshkosh. And we plan to be there to see him receive that. And we're honoring him today with by playing some of the videos that he's made for our instrument course. So we'll go ahead and roll some of those and take back and look at it. And
we'll be back shortly.
We'll be back shortly.
Hi, I'm Taz Chrisman, and welcome to Instrument Weather. Today we're going to talk about moisture and precipitation, stable and unstable air, and then we're going to finish up with clouds. Alright, air contains moisture or water vapor. The water vapor content of air can be expressed in two different ways: relative humidity and dew point. Relative humidity relates to actual water vapor present in the air to that which could be present. Temperature largely determines the maximum amount of water vapor the air can hold. Warm air can hold more water vapor than cold air. As you can see on this graph, it basically takes a snapshot of an entire day. As the sun comes up and the air starts heating up, you can see that the relative humidity goes down. So the warmer the air, the more water that it can hold. Air with 100% relative humidity is said to be saturated, and air with less than 100% is unsaturated. If you look at this picture right here, you can see we have a 12-ounce glass of water, has 6 ounces of water in it. Therefore, its relative humidity is 50% full. On the other hand, you have a 4-ounce glass and you have 4 ounces of water in it. It is 100% humid or 100% full. Dew point is the temperature to which air must be cooled to become saturated by the water already present in the air. So if you look at this graph here, you can see that 10 degrees Celsius can hold 9 grams of water, whereas 20 degrees can hold 17 grams, and then 30 degrees can hold 30 grams. So as the air warms up, it expands, and therefore it has more room for more water. When water vapor condenses on large objects such as leaves, windshields, or aircraft, it will form dew. When it condenses on microscopic particles such as salt, dust, or combustion byproducts, it will form clouds or fog. If the temperature and dew point spread is small and decreasing, condensation is about to occur. If the temperature is above freezing, fog or low clouds will most likely develop. The growth rate of precipitation is enhanced by upward currents. Cloud particles collide and merge into larger drops in the more rapid growth process. So as you look at this picture here, you can see as we have updrafts, though that air cools down, the water is able to condense, and then it also is able to impact with other water and grow bigger droplets, thus creating clouds. This process produces larger precipitation particles and does so more rapidly than simple condensation growth. Upward currents also support larger droplets. Because the up currents are pushing the water up, it has more of a tendency to resist gravity. So therefore, the up currents will hold the water nuclei up in the air a little bit longer until it gets relatively too big, and then it'll fall and form rain. If wet snow is encountered at your altitude, then the temperature is above freezing. Since melting snow has been encountered, the freezing level would be at a higher level. All right, so you can look at this graph over here. So we've got cold air up above, and then you've got that little warm area, and that's probably where you guys are flying, and then you get the cold air underneath. So as the cold air, as the moisture falls out of that cold air into the warmer air, it'll start to melt. If it hits your aircraft, it will produce freezing rain or sleet or any kind of number of things such as that. Rain falling through the colder air may become super cooled, freezing on impact as freezing rain, or it may freeze during its descent, falling as ice pellets. The presence of ice pellets at the surface is evidence that there is freezing rain at higher altitude. Atmospheric stability is defined as the resistance of the atmosphere to vertical motion. An unstable atmosphere allows an upward or downward disturbance to grow into a vertical or convective current. So if you look at this picture over here, as you can see, if we have unstable air, what happens is that air molecules are wanting to rise. So as they continue to rise, it creates that unstable atmosphere. The water is able to condense and it forms those clouds. We'll talk more about that when we get to thunderstorms, but that's basically how they start to form those thunderstorms. Moving on over to the stable side there, it's resisting that upward motion. As it resists the upward motion, you don't get the vertical development, and therefore the water molecules don't necessarily condense as quickly. And then you got the neutral there, which is basically every day. All right, characteristics of unstable air are cumuliform clouds, showery precipitation, rough air, which gives you turbulence, and good visibility. All right, except for when you have blowing obstructions there. So obviously, if you have turbulence, it's moving all the air molecules around, so it's going to get rid of any kind of haze or any kind of pollution or anything that might be out there. With the exception of the blowing obstructions like it's talking about there, if you have large gust fronts or lots of wind, it can pick up particulates and move it around as well. Characteristics of stable air are stratiform clouds and fog, continuous precipitation, smooth air, and fair to poor visibility in haze and smoke. All right, so here's a couple good pictures there. So poor visibility, got those stratiform clouds nice and flat, not much vertical development. Determining the stability of the atmosphere requires measuring the difference between the actual existing temperature lapse rate of a given parcel of air and then comparing that to the dry adiabatic lapse rate, or 3 degrees per 1,000 feet. The bigger the divergence between the dry adiabatic and the actual existing ambient temperature lapse rate, the more unstable the atmosphere is. The closer they are together, the more stable. All right, let's talk about some clouds. So cloud types are divided into 4 families. We have the high clouds, middle clouds, low clouds, and clouds with extensive vertical development. The first 3 families are further classified according to the way they are formed. All right, so here's a good graph showing you the high, middle, and low clouds. High cloud family is made up of cirriform and includes cirrus, cirrocumulus, and cirrostratus. They're composed almost entirely of ice crystals. Clouds formed by vertical currents in unstable air are cumulus, meaning accumulation or heap. So they're heap clouds is a good way of thinking about it. Right? They are characterized by their lumpy, billowy appearance. So like the picture shows right here, you've got those big billowy clouds. Clouds formed by the cooling of stable layer are stratus, meaning stratified or layered. They are characterized by their uniform sheet-like appearance. So here's a good picture of some stratus clouds. They're nice and flat, kind of the nice, you know, it's going to give you a nice day. So like this picture shows right here, right? They're nice and flat. The prefix nimbo or the suffix nimbus means rain cloud. A heavy, swelling cumulus type cloud which produces precipitation is a cumulonimbus cloud. So here's a bunch of pictures of those. All right. Lenticular clouds are associated with mountain waves. Crests of standing waves may be marked by stationary, lens-shaped clouds known as standing lenticular clouds. Mountain waves and lenticular clouds indicate strong turbulence. So out here in Vegas, we get a lot of these coming over the mountains, and you can always be assured that there is definitely some turbulence with those. So if you see those, kind of try to stay clear of them. All right, this is what we talked about in this little section here: moisture and precipitation, stable and unstable air, and then we finished up with some clouds. All right, please leave any comments you have below, and look forward to you in the next class.
And here you go with a quick update from Taz at AirVenture.
Hi Kenny, this is Taz from AirVenture 2018. Just wanted to say hi to everybody, all the Hogs members, and to pick up our top 10 check ride tips, which is available now on Amazon.
All right, so I'm sure he's out there having a good time, so make sure you make a comment in there below for Taz. Support him in his 2018 Flight Instructor of the Year. That's why he's there at AirVenture right now. He's getting his award Thursday morning at 9 a.m. So I'm going to roll another video for you, another one of Taz's weather videos here in a minute. I just want to re-mention that we just launched the book today, Top 10 Check Ride Tips, authored by myself and Dan Taz Chrisman. We worked on this together. Top 10 check ride tips. You can get it on Amazon for 99 cents. Paperback will be available in just a few days. So if you would give us a like and a share on this video and comment in support of Taz at Oshkosh AirVenture 2018, we want to hit Amazon #1 before he gets his award on Thursday, just because I think that would be really cool if he could get a #1 best-selling book right before he gets his award from the FAA. He deserves everything that he gets, every piece of recognition that he has gotten so far, he deserves. So we also run a special today, $50 off any yearly or unlimited membership, private pilot, instrument pilot, commercial pilot, certified flight instructor. Go to www.helicopterground.com. During checkout for any of those membership levels, just enter the code TAZ for Taz, TAZ50OFF. Click apply and it'll show you the discounted price on any one of those memberships. So we have, sounds like maybe coming in right now. I can't tell if it's them or another aircraft. We have a gentleman coming in, just passed his check ride out in Toledo, and he's coming back with an instructor who they both want to jump on camera as soon as they get here. So I'm going to roll another Taz video while we're waiting. The cool thing is, his name's Renee, one of our ground school members all the way from Texas. Traveled all the way up here to finish up with us, and he did a super job, showed up really prepared, watched the videos, and his check ride was today, Tuesday. Saturday night, I said, hey, you want to proofread the book before we make it go live? And he took home a paper copy, read through it, came back, said he really enjoyed it. So we're going to ask him to give us an honest opinion today, how much the top 10 check ride tips helped him prior to going to the ride, along with using ground school where he cemented his knowledge. So I'm going to walk over here to the board and pull up another Taz weather video for you. Everybody loves weather, so we thought, you know what, let's roll some of Taz's weather videos. So here you go with another weather video from Taz.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Taz Chrisman and I'll be continuing aviation weather for IFR. In this lesson we're going to cover common IMC producers. We're going to talk about some air masses and fronts, and then finally we'll finish up with some turbulence. Alright, fog is a surface-based cloud composed of either water, droplets, or ice crystals. Fog is the most frequent cause of surface visibility below 3 miles and is the most common and persistent weather hazard encountered in aviation. We have several different kinds of fog. As you can see here, we're going to talk about a few of them. Fog may be formed by cooling air to its dew point or by adding moisture to the air near the ground. A small temperature dew point spread is essential to the formation of fog. An abundance of condensation nuclei from combustion products makes fog prevalent in industrial areas. Fog is classified by the way it's formed. Radiation fog, or ground fog, is formed when terrestrial radiation cools the ground, which in turn cools the air in contact with it. When the air is cooled to its dew point, or within a few degrees, fog will form. This fog will form most readily in warm, moist air over low, flatland areas on clear, calm nights. All right, here's another picture. You can kind of see it. It's got the heat radiating from the surface at night. Cools the bottom air until it reaches the saturation point. Further radiation cooling at the top of the fog layer deepens it, and then the fog forms at the surface, thickening as the cooling continues. From back in the Midwest, we got a lot of this fog in the evenings. Out here in Nevada, not so much, but when you're around the areas where you have a lot of moisture, you'll see this. Advection fog, sea fog, is formed when warm, moist air moves over colder ground or water. So in this case, it's going to need a wind. So that wind is blowing that moist air over the colder ground or water. An example is an air mass moving inland from the coast in the winter. All right, so you guys around San Francisco, you see this quite a bit, as you saw on one of the earlier pictures. Upslope fog is formed when warm, moist, stable air is cooled to its dew point as it moves upsloping terrain. So here again, wind is required. So that wind is going to blow that warm, moist air up into the mountains. As the air is pushed up due to the mountain, it's going to cool, it's going to get to its dew point, it's going to condense, and that fog is going to form on the side of the mountain. All right. The cooling will be at the dry adiabatic lapse rate of approximately 3 degrees per 1,000 feet. When a body of air or air mass comes to rest or moves slowly over a large geographical area that has fairly uniform properties of temperature and moisture, that air mass acquires the temperature and moisture properties of the area that it covers. All right, so as you can see the pictures here, so you can see the general regions. We've got 7 different regions, air masses, right, that we typically talk about in weather. The way that each one of these masses changes, we call that air mass modification. In the picture off to the left here, you can see they're talking about colder weather or colder air at minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit, moves over the water, picks up some of that moisture, and then moves over that cold land there with the snow and everything. It's a little bit warmer, but because now it's moisture, it's going to create that snow, right? So that's that air mass modification that we talk about. So here again, we're going to talk about air masses and fronts. Characteristics of an unstable air mass. We talked about it earlier, but here's a recap of it again. You're going to have those cumuliform clouds. It's going to give you some showery precipitation. Generally, you're going to have rough air and turbulence. And then you will have good visibility, right? Because remember that turbulence, right? The unequal raising and lowering of the air is going to take all that particulates out of the atmosphere, right? So it's going to kind of dissipate any kind of fog. It's going to dissipate any kind of pollution or any kind of stuff like that. So you will have good visibility, generally speaking. Characteristics of a stable air mass include stratiform clouds, continuous precipitation, smooth air, and fair to poor visibility in haze and smoke. Right here again, remember those stratiform clouds are those nice flat ones, all right? Generally speaking, when you see those, you know that you're going to have a nice day of flying. All right, not a lot of turbulence or anything like that. All right. The downside of that is you're going to have that fair to poor visibility, right? Because you don't have those updrafts that's taking any of that particulates out of the airspace. All right, so it's going to be a little bit hazier, but generally speaking, you're going to have a pretty nice ride. All right, all your passengers are going to like it. As the air mass moves out of the source regions, they come in contact with other air masses of different properties. Right? So remember on a couple of slides back, we showed those 7 different regions for the air masses. All right? So now when these guys come into contact with each other, because that's what they do, all right, the zone between those 2 different air masses is called the frontal zone or the front. All right? So when you're watching the news at night and they're giving you the weather briefings and you see the cold fronts, the warm fronts, all that kind of stuff, that's where those come from, all right? And that's how they generally figure out where those fronts are moving, all right? Across the zone, temperature, humidity, and winds often change rapidly over short distances. The 3 principal types of fronts, just like I said a minute ago, you have the cold front, the warm front, and the stationary front, all right? Here you can see some pictures of, you got the cold front up at the top, you got the warm front, stationary front, and then the occluded front, all right? So the cold front, I kind of remember that. It looks like a bunch of icicles, right? They're blue, so generally blue is associated with cold. It's got the little icicles hanging off of it. The warm front, I think of that as the nice warm sun as it's rising, all right? So that's where you get the warm front. Stationary front is a combination, right? That's when those 2 masses are trying to fight each other, right? So they're basically butting heads with each other, and they're not really moving anywhere, right? The occluded front is basically when you have that rapidly moving cold front and it overtakes a warm front, generally speaking. All right, and that's going to be that purple color, all right, on your surface analysis chart. Frontal waves and cyclones are areas of low pressure, right? Usually form on the slow-moving cold fronts or stationary fronts. Here you can see a bunch of different types of fronts. Here's your stationary front, all right? You can see that it's got the blue and the red, so they're fighting each other, right? So that's both of those fronts hitting each other, and one's not giving way to the other one, all right? So it's just gonna basically stay there until one basically eventually is gonna win. Generally, it's the cold front. You can say here's the wave action as that warm front starts making that counterclockwise rotation around a low. All right, and you can see that eventually what's going to happen is this cold front's going to win. It's going to break off. That warm front's going to end up breaking and going back this direction, as you can see in this part right here. All right, the occluded front, just like I said, that cold front is eventually, as it goes faster, generally speaking, it goes faster than the warm fronts, and it's going to overtake it. When it overtakes it and it's going the same direction, it's going to give you that little purple area right here off that low, all right, and that's going to be your occluded front, all right. So it's going to basically run up over the top of that, and it's going to change that warm front's environment there, that air mass modification, right. Then here again, here's basically as it keeps overtaking, eventually it's going to win, and that warm front's going to go away, and you'll just be left with a cold front. Turbulence. If severe turbulence is encountered either inside or outside of the clouds, the aircraft speed should be reduced to the recommended speed listed in your rotorcraft flight manual. All right. Here again, you can see I left this graphic up here a little bit more. So it gives you the frontal waves. Let's see if I can get the laser pointer out of here again. So you can get a little bit turbulence off of this right in here. Here's your lenticular clouds. You got your little rotor clouds that are always going to be underneath of it. This is generally speaking where you're going to get a lot of turbulence. All right. So if you guys come out to Vegas and you fly, you'll see this kind of stuff over the mountains out here in the west. All right. You should attempt to maintain a level flight attitude because the amount of excess load that can be imposed on the rotorcraft will be decreased. All right. So what they're talking about here is if you get that updraft, you don't want to push over, right? If you're getting that downdraft, you don't want to climb. So you're just going to want to try to ride with it until you get out of it. All right. Anytime you're increasing the bank or the pitch or anything like that, you're imposing those load factors on the aircraft, all right, and you could overstress it. All right, so that's one of the things you want to avoid. An attempt to maintain a constant altitude will greatly increase the stresses that are applied to the aircraft. Like I said a minute ago, Here's kind of a little chart. It's something kind of handy. Turbulence intensity, right? So this is kind of what I think of when I'm thinking of light turbulence, right? You're going to get a rise or drop, maybe about 3 feet or so. It's hardly noticeable to the passengers, right? They basically just kind of think you feel like you're just kind of going over like a gravel road or something like that, all right? When you get into the moderate turbulence, now it's starting to get a little bit more noticeable, right? You're going to get that rise or drop about 6 to 18 feet. If you have a drink or something like that, it could spill. That's kind of an easy way to kind of figure it out. If it's just sitting there and it could fall over, that's moderate turbulence, right? Severe turbulence, rise and drop, it can be up to 100 feet or more, all right? Occupants can be thrown if they're not strapped in. So this is obviously a severe turbulence. If you're getting thrown around the cockpit, then you know that you've got some severe turbulence there. Here's a list. This is out of the PIREP table 3-8 out of the AIM. It talks about PIREP turbulence reporting criteria, right? I'm not going to read through this. I know it's an eye chart for you guys. What I do recommend is get into the AIM and read through it so you know what to expect as far as when you're reporting turbulence, or for that matter when somebody else reports turbulence. Obviously not all aircraft are the same, so if you have a 747 that's out there reporting severe turbulence, obviously for somebody flying at a little Robinson 22, yeah, that's some pretty bad turbulence. Now if the 747 is reporting light turbulence, for the Robinson, it's probably still pretty bad turbulence, right? So probably moderate severe. All right, this is what we talked about, some common IMC producers, air masses and fronts, and then we finished up with some turbulence. Leave some comments at the bottom. Let us know how we can help improve this course, or anything you guys would like to add. All right, we'll see you in the next course.
Thank you, sir. Hey Kenny, this is Taz again from 2018 AirVenture, telling everybody to get their top 10 check ride tips available on Amazon now.
Tucker, John Klatt, and
All right, we're back again. That was another quick update from Taz. That's 2 videos he sent us. I think there might even be one more on my phone that I haven't checked yet. So that's 2 messages from Taz sending us from Oshkosh. He just got there this morning. And the helicopter just landed with our student that came back from check ride. Gary went out there to greet him. So I'll give him a minute or 2 to come in here and let us debrief their story. If it takes too long, we'll roll another Taz weather video. So today we launched Top 10 Check Ride Tips, authored by both myself and 2018 Flight Instructor of the Year, Dan Taz Chrisman. So what we did, we've been working on this since February in our spare time, and we just kind of went through and just top 10 tips is the things that we think you really need to be using, get in the mindset when you're getting ready to go for the check ride. You know, for weeks or months or even years in some cases, you've been studying, and there's a lot of information to know. We're trying to get you in the mindset of actually showing up that day and how to really be prepared, because it's not usually levels of the atmosphere that blows a check ride. It's you didn't have something you needed. You started out wrong because you were late. Something wasn't signed off in the logbook. And that's what we talk about in this. This is the paper copy. Digital copy is available now. There's a link beside the video. You can go there and grab the digital copy for 99 cents. It's a Kindle book, but you don't need a Kindle book to read a Kindle book. You can download a Kindle app to your phone. So it looks like we got some people coming in. Our check ride guy, or not, maybe. So grab it for 99 cents and leave us some Amazon feedback if you would after you review the book. We would love some feedback, and it's hard to get people to make that commitment to go in and make a Amazon feedback on the book. But if you could do that, it helps us drive that thing up to #1. And I really want to do that just because I think it's cool. It's fun to hit an Amazon #1 bestseller. And the fact that Taz is getting his award on Thursday, I think it's really cool that we could hit #1 bestseller prior to Taz getting his award 9 a.m. We also have a $50 discount today, inspired by Gary Cleveland and Taz. Gary made the code. It's Taz 50 off. So TAZ 50 OFF. If you want to use that code for $50 discount off private commercial instrument or CFI yearly or unlimited membership, not for the monthly membership, because that's more than what the monthly membership even costs. It's private level. So go grab that book for us. Like and share and comment on this video. Share this with your friends, please. Do us a favor. Taz Chrisman deserves the award he's getting Thursday, and he deserves to be a #1 bestseller first time around prior to getting his award on Thursday, because he's super experienced, incredible instructor. You're seeing from the videos that we're showing. Are you ready to bring your guys in, Gary, or not yet? Maybe we'll roll a video here. While I know they just walked in the door. I'm sure Renee's probably huffing and puffing. Are they ready to come in?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll let you take over since you two have worked together.
Okay.
But I got to get over here for the handshake.
Okay. There.
I know that the examiner called Gary to say, nice job. So,
Thank you.
nice job.
Yeah.
We knew you were, well, you never know about a check ride, but we were confident in your abilities. Gary told me from the beginning how you did, so I'm just going to get out of the way and let Gary tell the viewers kind of what you guys did over the last week or 10 days. And
Well, meet Renee Surprise,
Hello.
private helicopter pilot, as of a little bit ago.
Today.
So he come up from Texas. He's been one of our members, and had about 60 hours of R22 time back in 2012.
2012.
Took a little break and went at it again recently, and we got them all squared away in the R44. And he went over there today, and the examiner actually called me before he headed back and said, good job, you did very well. So I don't know, did you watch all the videos in the course?
I watched all of them several times too.
Would you feel that the video course was helpful in the oral? And
It's what got me to start wanting to start flying again.
so
It
motivated
made
you?
ground school fun, yes sir.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome to hear. We like the testimonies that keep pouring in, and we're just going to keep making it better and better.
so give us our, I'm taking a chance here because you might hate it. No, you said it was good.
You wear a large?
Medium.
Are you sure?
Well, we could check. Last I checked, large is fine.
Stay here.
How much did reading this, did it help at all today?
That was great.
Did it help? Did it help? You know, you've been going through the videos first, but then you use this just kind of a, what I've been telling people is it's just kind of a mindset thing. It's to, after you've been studying, you're getting ready, right? This is what I want them to read.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time.
Yep.
You read it 3 nights before, and thank you for doing that. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
sir, it was great. I appreciate it too.
Hogs member gets his shirt live on camera.
Heck yeah.
That's all it takes is jump on video for just a few seconds. Send us a video and get the shirt.
There's a lot of cotton in there, so I think a large is
All
probably.
right, that's perfect. Yeah, it's actually gonna fit good. That's perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for coming up from
Congratulations,
Texas.
sir. Thank you.
Send some more since they just keep
sir.
coming here.
I will.
Well, you want to got anything that you want to tell them about? You want to mention your big thing you've been working on? Just a quick 30 seconds, or should we not in case it doesn't pan out?
Oh, I don't know. I think we get it to pan out.
All right, tell them I'm going to queue up another video for.
Okay,
Taz.
probably some information has trickled here and there with Kenny's videos, but we did complete the flight instructor refresher course and submitted it to the FAA for approval, and we're waiting to hear back from them. From what I understand, you will not get approval the first time. It'll come back with maybe a few demands to change a few things here and there, but we'll meet those demands, and hopefully by the end of the year we will have a flight instructor refresher course that is helicopter emphasized, unlike the airplane FERCs that the helicopter guys are being forced to take every couple of years. So did you have another Taz video to roll?
I got another 1 or 2 to roll. So
Okay, and Taz, I'll be there looking for you Thursday morning at 9 if you're watching. Good job. We're proud of you. Proud to have you as part of our team, and we just get a lot of awesome feedback from your videos. So roll another video with Taz.
All right, here we go.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Taz Chrisman, and we'll be continuing with aviation weather. In this lesson, we're going to talk about thunderstorms, microbursts, icing, and wind shear. So one of the cool things about the lesson today is we actually have a thunderstorm going on outside here in Vegas. It is the monsoon season. I thought that was kind of ironic since tonight I'm recording the video for thunderstorms. Let's get into it. Alright, a thunderstorm is a local storm produced by a cumulonimbus cloud. It is always accompanied by lightning and thunder, usually with strong gusts of wind, heavy rain, and sometimes with hail. We can't have a thunderstorm without thunder. What produces the thunder? Well, it's the lightning. It's that shear zone between the hotness of the lightning and the colder temperature out around, and that's what actually gives us the thunder. Let's talk about a little bit more of these. There's 3 conditions necessary for the formation of a thunderstorm. Right? You're going to be asked this on your written test. You're going to be asked this in your actual practical, your check ride. All right. So the 3 things are sufficient weather vapor, an unstable lapse rate, and an initial upward boost or lifting action. Without any one of those 3 items, you cannot have a thunderstorm. The initial upward boost can be caused by heating from below, frontal lifting, or by mechanical lifting, or what that means is wind blowing up a slope of a mountain. There are 3 stages to a thunderstorm. We have the cumulus stage, the mature stage, and the dissipating stage. As you can see on the picture right here, it shows all 3 of those. We're going to talk about each one of them. The cumulus stage is characterized by continuous updrafts. These updrafts create low pressure areas. All right, so as you can see in the picture here on the left, it's showing you that initial upward vectors. This is where the cloud is actually going to start forming. You kind of start seeing it billowing as it grows bigger and bigger. The mature stage is characterized by updrafts and downdrafts inside the cloud. Precipitation inside the cloud aids in the development of these downdrafts, and the start of rain from the base of the cloud signals the beginning of the mature stage. Thunderstorms reach their greatest intensity during the mature stage. So what this means is, you know, for that the first stage, we've got all those updrafts, right? Now what we're doing is we're getting that rain. It's the updrafts are carrying all that moisture up. They're condensing. It's forming big water droplets. And now the rain is so heavy that those updrafts can no longer support the weight. So that starts falling. So as it's falling, it also takes some of that air around it and it pulls it down. That's what's creating your downdrafts. So you're getting updrafts and downdrafts. All right. And just like it says, when you feel rain at the surface, that's when you know you've reached the mature stage. Dissipating stage. This is characterized by predominantly all downdrafts. So what's happening here is now that mature stage has continued so far that now there's more downdrafts than there are updrafts, and it's basically just raining itself out. So all you're getting is predominantly downdrafts. You'll see that cloud starting to collapse in on itself. Thunderstorms that generally produce the most intense hazard to aircraft are called squall line thunderstorms. These non-frontal narrow bands of thunderstorms often develop ahead of a cold front. So here you go. This is a nice example right here. We've got the nice squall line there, right, going through northern Texas and Oklahoma into Kansas there. Embedded thunderstorms are those that are obscured by massive cloud layers and cannot be seen. So obviously we've got this picture here of Oklahoma with all the rain. You can't pick up clouds on radar. All you can pick up is that moisture, because the radar has to have some kind of a return. So that moisture is solid enough that it can actually give you a return. Well, that's great if you have a radar, but like you can see this other picture here, we've got all those clouds around that, all right? A lot of times you'll see these, you won't see these thunderstorms because they're covered with clouds, so you might have a bunch of embedded thunderstorms there. All right, let's talk about microbursts here, all right? I put this picture up here for a reason. I know we're helicopter pilots, but I think this is important. It's an important lesson that was huge for the airline industry, corporate, general aviation, everybody involved, right? Even though it's an airplane, it's still important to us, right? So what this is Delta Airlines Flight 191. It was a regularly scheduled flight from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Los Angeles, and it was usually made a stop in Dallas. This accident happened on August 2nd, 1985 at about 6:05 in the afternoon. It was a Lockheed L-1011 TriStar. Operating this flight encountered a microburst while on approach to land on runway 17 left in the DFW. The pilots were unable to escape the weather event, and the aircraft struck the ground over a mile short of the runway. The flight hit a car driving north of the airport, 2 water tanks, and disintegrated. The crash killed 136 people on board, including 128 of the 152 passengers, 8 of the 11 crew, and the driver of the car. The NTSB determined that the crash resulted from the flight crew's decision to fly through a thunderstorm, the lack of procedures, and the training to avoid or escape microbursts, and the lack of hazard information on wind shear. All right, so this whole next section we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk about microbursts, and a little bit later we're going to talk about wind shear. But I bring this up because before this point, there wasn't really a whole lot of thought given to microbursts. They didn't know what they were really. After this accident, a lot of procedures were in place, a lot of training was accomplished, and the aviation industry as a whole began to grow. That's why we're going to talk about this, right? And for good reason. We're flying in the clouds for your instrument rating. Microbursts happen out of thunderstorms, the dissipating stage usually. All right, so that's kind of stuff that we need to know about. So what is exactly a microburst? Well, microbursts are small-scale, intense downdrafts, which as they get near to the ground, spread outward from the center in all directions, just like you can see right here. Right? So as you can see, it's got the long shaft as it's coming down, and then it spreads out all over the ground. Maximum downdrafts at the center of a microburst may be as strong as 6,000 feet per minute. 6,000 feet. Even some of the most powerful jet aircraft can't outclimb these things. So us in a helicopter, yeah, we really don't have much of a chance with microbursts. All right, so this is kind of what it looks like. You get that little vortex as it's coming down out of the base of the cloud. So you get all that cold air, and it's basically just rushing down, and it'll make that big vortex ring. We're going to see some pictures of that here in a second. As your aircraft approaches, encounters, and exits a microburst, it will experience a sudden increase in performance due to the headwind. Then it's going to be followed by a strong downdraft at the microburst center, and then a severe loss of performance as the downdraft becomes a sudden tailwind. So as you can see in the picture here, we've got the R-22 as it's flying into that headwind. The headwind is going to gain some performance. Usually most pilots react to that thinking, oh, well, okay, in this case, the helicopter wants to climb. It's got that increase in performance. So what do we normally do? Lower that collective, trying to push over a little bit. Well, that's exactly the wrong thing to do, because now what's going to happen next, we're going to hit that 6,000 foot downdraft, right? And that's just going to force us into the ground. By that point, there's really nothing you can do. So the best thing is obviously know how to avoid these. Here's a little bit closer up picture of that, what I just talked about there. Since the initial headwind may be 45 knots, the tailwind also 45 knots, the total wind shear passing across in the entire microburst could be upwards of 90 knots. Here's I'll kind of point this out. So you get the picture over here. It talks a little bit more about what exactly is in the microburst, so that you can see that that initial core there, that center line of that core, that down shaft, there's 3/4 to 1.5 miles in diameter. Right? That downdraft can produce 6,000 to 7,000 foot per minute, or 60 knots straight down at the ground. And then typically outwards 2.5 miles is basically what you're looking at. So over the size of an airport is how big that can go. Generally speaking, they last about 2 to 5 minutes. An individual microburst seldom lasts longer than 15 minutes. There's that. From the time it strikes the ground until dissipation. The horizontal winds continue to increase during the first 5 minutes, with the maximum intensity winds lasting approximately 2 to 4 minutes. So there you go. So the maximum intensity is 2 to 4 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes, that general area. The whole event itself can last up to 15 minutes. All right, icing. So one of the hazards to flight is aircraft icing. Pilots should be aware of the conditions conducive to icing, the types of icing, the effects of icing on the aircraft control and performance, and the use and limitations of aircraft de-ice and anti-ice equipment. Flying in the clouds, we're in the prime area to get icing. All right. So if we're flying in the clouds and we have that temperature is close to freezing, that's where we have that recipe for icing. Most helicopters are not certified for icing. You can see in this picture here, they're certifying this guy for icing, so they're spraying some water on him, trying to get him to ice up. But for the most part, helicopters are not approved for icing. So if you are flying a helicopter that's approved for icing, then obviously you're going to get training in how to use that equipment. For ice to form, there must be moisture present in the air, and the air must be cooled to a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Right? So for this, what that means is you have to have visible moisture, so clouds, rain, some kind of precipitation, and the temperature has to be freezing. If you take one of those ingredients out, you can't have icing. Aerodynamic cooling can lower the temperature of an airfoil to 0 degrees, even though the ambient temperature is a few degrees warmer. All right, so just think about that. Your rotor blades are up there spinning. They're spinning really, really fast. So the air as it's going over it will actually cool down just a little bit more. So even though outside your air temperature gauge might be showing slightly above freezing, remember those blades are actually probably just a little bit cooler. So even though you're not in the temperature outside is not freezing, your blades could be. All right. Icing is identified as clear, rime, or mixed. Rime ice forms if the droplets are small and freeze immediately when contacting the aircraft surface. This type of ice usually forms on areas such as the leading edges of the wings or struts. It has somewhat rough looking appearance and is milky white in flavor and color. So this is kind of what it looks like on the wings of an aircraft. I always tell people it looks like that the ice that forms inside your freezer. Remember those old school freezers that you had to thaw out every once in a while? That's kind of what it is. All right. The reason why it freezes like that is because it freezes so quickly and it actually traps air inside the ice. So the reason why it's white is because it has air pockets in it. Clear ice is usually formed from larger water droplets or freezing rain that can spread over a surface. This is the most dangerous type of ice since it is clear, hard to see, and can change the shape of the airfoil. So the difference between this and the rime ice is the clear ice freezes very slowly, and it allows time for that air molecules to get out of the moisture. So it doesn't really have those air pockets in there. That's why it's nice and clear. It conforms to the shape of the airfoil. We also have mixed ice, which just like it sounds, it's a mixture of clear and rime ice. It has bad characteristics of both types and can form rapidly. So clear ice, obviously it can it creates a lot of weight. It's hard to see. Rime ice is very opaque. You can see it very well, but it also changes the shape of the wing itself or the airfoil. There are two kinds of icing that are significant to aviation. We have structural icing, which is basically the three that we just talked about. And then we have induction icing. Induction icing affects power plant operations. So that'd be like stuff like carburetor ice. Structural icing refers to the accumulation of ice on the exterior of the aircraft. It occurs on an aircraft whenever supercooled droplets of water make contact with any part of the aircraft that is also at a temperature below freezing. One in-flight condition necessary for structural icing is visible moisture, clouds or raindrops. As the rain falls through air that is below freezing, its temperature begins to fall below freezing, yet it does not freeze solid. Thus, you get freezing rain. The process requires the temperature of the rain to be above freezing before it becomes supercooled. So basically what's happening is that moisture, that rain as it's coming out of the clouds, it is cold, but it's not freezing yet. And as it falls, it actually gets colder and colder, and that's how we get that supercooled. As you can see, we got the little picture right there. Usually got that warm front as it's pushing up, and you get that cold front coming around. The closer you get to that warm front, you'll have rain. The further away you get from it, you start having that freezing rain, sleet, snow. Aircraft structural ice will most likely have the highest accumulation in freezing rain. Therefore, an operational consideration if you fly into rain that freezes on impact is that the temperatures are above freezing at some higher altitude. Right, so in this case, this is showing you the warm front as it's overtaking the cold front, so that we're going to talk about those here in a second, but as you can see, those clouds as they're going up, that's basically the warm front that's going over the cold front down at the bottom down here. Right? As that warmer air up there, as the rain falls, it falls into that cold zone, and then it starts becoming super cooled.
Hey Kenny, it's Taz again from Airventure 2018. Excited about our new book. It just came out today. Just just got the link, just posted it. It was a great time writing it with you, and hope everybody at Hogs enjoys it as well.
All right, looks like Taz is having too much fun out there. So we're going to wrap this up, and we'll probably be back after a bit. Time to take a break. We've been at it for an hour. We're going to check stats, see what's going on. Gloria's getting hungry. We're going to go grab some food, and then we'll probably be back in just a short amount of time. So do us a favor. If you'd have enjoyed this content today, leave us a comment, please. Give us a like, please, and give us a share. Just launched today. Top 10 check ride tips, Kenny Keller and Dan Taz Chrisman. We're shooting for Amazon #1 bestseller. It's a short read. You can grab it for 99 cents on Kindle right now. You don't need a Kindle to read a Kindle book. If you've got a smartphone or an iPad or a tablet, you can just download the free app and still view a book. So we encourage you to grab that book for 99 cents. Leave us some comments. Please share. Help us hit Amazon #1 bestseller. And when you grab the book, review it, take a look at it, and if you like the book, give us an honest review on Amazon. It's very hard to get people to make those comments on Amazon, and we really appreciate it, and that'll help us push that thing up to #1, just because that would be fun. It's cool, and I want to notify Taz that he's a Amazon #1 bestseller prior to getting his award on Thursday morning. So keep liking, sharing, commenting. That link is around the video somewhere, above or below or beside. You'll find it. It's around. Grab that link. Go check it out on Amazon. Please leave us some Amazon feedback, and we will see you in the next video.